Welcome to EngineeringTechnologyPress.com. I'm Eric, and I'm finishing up canning a second batch of salmon and in the pressure cooker. And I thought this would be an appropriate time to do my review for the All-American pressure cooker series. And in this case, it's the largest. It's a 941. Give you my impressions on it from about 5 years of fairly intensive use. First thing is, these are fairly expensive investments. The website says they're $390 US, which in Canadian funds at the current exchange rate is about 520 bucks, and that's at 75 cents to the US dollar. So pretty big investment, but does it pay for itself? I mean, really, it allows you to can low acid foods, a lot of tomato products that are low in acid. Allows you to can meats, some vegetables, that type of thing, right? But especially what I found that it really pays off for is meats. And this is a good example. Quarter pound of salmon on special here, canned up, $2.97, and that's saved $2. I bought the salmon the same week. Whole salmon now is on a great special, but $2.48 a pound. So you know, you're looking at a considerable saving by putting it up. The jars, you know, these are an investment. You have to pay for them, but then they last and last. And the same thing with the Tattler lids, which especially when you're pressure canning, if you've got the metal band lids, they're going to be tossed after the first use. You can't reuse them. The Tattlers you can reuse again and again. The trick there is you need to snug them down a little bit tighter than you normally would if it was boiling water bath canning, because the pressure differential is greater. You don't snug them down that much more, and you still have to leave them enough flexibility that they can rise up and vent, but if you don't snug them down a little bit tighter, you won't get success in sealing them. So it's a fairly significant investment, but it can really pay off fairly quickly if you intend to use it. And that's a caveat that I think I should put forward. If you're thinking about starting to can and preserve meats and stuff like that, you probably want to start with boiling water bath canning first and see if you enjoy that. The other thing is, in terms of size, I wouldn't be tempted to get a smaller one. This is the largest, and it works well. And it works well in part, you can see that I'm in my grubbies, and that's because I've been doing a brake job. After I loaded this up, I've been swapping the brake lines on my truck and completing that job. Once this comes up to starts venting, and you have to have it heat up for at least half an hour, it has to be venting for at least 10 minutes, then the processing time for fish is just under 2 hours. You know, that's a significant amount of time. Then you turn it off, and you have to let it come back down to zero pressure without popping the lid off or anything, the weight off. So you're looking at a fairly long process time. If you go with a smaller one, you're still going to have that same process time, more or less, but you're going to get that much less done. Now, for Canadians, you're going to have another factor to consider, and that is that the capacity that you'll see on the website for this in pints and quarts really covers pints and quarts. In Canada, if you're getting mostly liter and half liter jars, or quarter liter jars as these are, 250 milliliters, you're going to have less capacity. You can't stack two 1 liter jars on top of each other in there. So you're going to want to calculate that when you're preserving, and what I usually end up doing is putting in a lower layer of 1 liter size bottles and then an upper layer of half liter size bottles. I could go down to the States to pick up some American size pints and quarts, and I do have a few left over before Canada started to move to metric. But here the cost differential is really significant for jars. You're looking at about, Walmart had Golden Harvest half liter and liter bottles on, jars on this year, Last time I was in for $7.77 for a case of 12. You get your lid with that and everything included. Brand spanking new. You go down to the States, and last year at closeout time, I was picking up those same ones for the same cases for just over $5. So if you go down to the States and you look at it, I haven't been able to find any generic brands here at Golden Harvest that really can even come close to competing on price. So I'm willing to take the hit in my absolute throughput on this to save a lot on my jars, and then also standardize more or less on the size range that I have to liters and half liters and a few quarter liters. Overall, this is a really durable piece of kit. There's no gasket on it to fail. It's got a weight. Make sure you keep your weight. I keep it in a big plastic bag in it when I store it, in part because I don't want it to go missing. I don't need a giant bag to hold it. But I don't want this little weight to go missing. You'll miss the weight and you're a little bit screwed. 5, 10, 15 pounds of pressure. I also process in the winter. You're not going to process up to 15 pounds pressure in the winter here at Ottawa's elevation anyway, which is not that much off from sea level. You don't have to adjust for your altitude. In the summer you can easily get up to 15 pounds, and that's on the side burner on the barbecue, which is burning natural gas, so it's nice and cheap. So overall, something that you should consider if you're in an opportunity to put food by. This case, salmon, a lot of savings there. We also use a lot of turkey for soup stock, and we'll process some of that into cuts for luncheon meat. Some of it will be ground. Then the rest, the carcasses with still a lot of meat on them, and of course that bone broth tossed in the big stock pots, and we'll do several at a time, and then we'll can up several gallons of really hearty turkey stock that'll last us for the better part of a year, sometimes going on a little bit beyond a year. But that saves a huge amount here. Another example of the things you could do. You'd overwhelm your freezer if you were trying to store all this stuff that you can put by in your freezers, and I've got 2 freezers, so that space is better used for things that uniquely freeze very well. So expensive. If you're going to get one, get the largest. It's worth the investment. I think you'll be disappointing yourself if you screw yourself over and get a smaller one. All Americans are great. You know, these will be something that you can hand down to your great grandkids, and hopefully you'll still have the weight or not make them go and find another one. So for more on preserving the harvest and other opportunity buys, and on the All-American Pressure Canner and pressure canning and preserving food, as well as other things to empower your independence, go to EnduringTechnologyPress.com. Thanks.